In June, when BlackRock announced its filing, or when it was announced that BlackRock had filed for a Bitcoin ETF, the Bitcoin price did shoot up, but has been fairly stable since then. So I do think it's had an impact. A bigger impact this year was the regional bank crisis. It was very interesting to watch Bitcoin go from 19,000 to 30,000 right in the middle of that banking crisis as regional banks were going bankrupt. So it was a flight to safety. So I thought that move was just as interesting.
Cathie Wood and ARK Invest believes that this week is going to be a big week for Bitcoin and crypto markets. Many don't know this, but Cathie and ARK Invest were actually the first public asset manager to gain exposure to Bitcoin back in 2015. In her latest interview this week with Bloomberg, she spoke on why this week could shape up to be a huge week in the history of Bitcoin. What date should you be looking out for? August 13th. That's the date the SEC has to come to a decision on the ARK Invest Spot Bitcoin ETF. Although the most likely outcome is that the SEC is going to delay a decision and push back the date, there is a chance at approval and ARK Invest is first in line. Another major point Cathie made, the wonder of Bitcoin is that it plays the role of two separate hedges. The first is a hedge against inflation and the outright confiscation of wealth. The second is a hedge against counterparty risk. This was brought to the forefront of investors' minds at the beginning of the year with the regional banking crisis. With the collapse of SVB, Signature Bank and First Republic Bank, the value proposition of Bitcoin was made clear. Even with cash in the bank, you're not safe. You don't have actual ownership over your wealth. Bitcoin solves this. Make sure to stick around to the end of the video where Cathie gives her thoughts on the new hot innovation, the superconductor, and also her prediction on who wins in a Mark Zuckerberg vs Elon Musk cage match. Also guys, I have just launched a daily 5-minute crypto newsletter. I was so sick of seeing people charge hundreds to thousands of dollars per month for on-chain crypto data and breakdowns. So to give out as much value to you as possible, I'm sending out a 5-minute daily newsletter which will cover expert predictions, breakdowns of on-chain crypto data, and any breaking news that you need to know all in a nutshell. And my promise to you is it will be completely free forever. Click the first link in my description, enter your email to join over 5,000 others in becoming a better crypto investor right now. If you don't like it, I will personally send you $1 whole, so you literally have nothing to lose. Now here's Cathie and her Bitcoin outlook.
Well, if you think about it, Bitcoin serves as two kinds of hedges. One is a hedge against inflation and outright confiscation of wealth. The other is against counterparty risk. And, when the regional banks started going down, this fear sort of, our memories are fresh with 0809, the counterparty risk became real. And so there was this flight into Bitcoin, a completely decentralized, transparent network, which is not subject to counterparty risk. I think you're probably right that August 13th will come and go, and I think the SEC, if it's going to approve a Bitcoin ETF, will approve more than one at once. So then, again, because most of these essentially will be the same, and it will come down to marketing, communicating the message. We've been putting out our Bitcoin monthly for the last year. We are now starting a Bitcoin brainstorming session. Our first one we launched last Thursday. So we're trying to get the word out there that, our research is deep. And we've been doing it since 2015 when we gained our first exposure to GBTC. We were the first public asset manager to gain exposure to Bitcoin at all in 2015. Well, I think that the two other branches of government, the judicial branch and the legislative branch, are giving the SEC pause because the SEC is losing cases in court having to do with its regulations around crypto. That's the first thing. And there are bills that are making their way through the House and are seeing some bipartisan support. So I do believe that Gary Gensler, I guess last week or 10 days ago, said something like, well, I'm not the only one who makes this decision. There are 5 commissioners. Now, of course, we know they're weighted towards the Democrats, 3 Democrats, 2 Republicans. And so one assumes that the way that Gary votes is the way the SEC will vote. But he seemed to be distancing himself a little bit. And so maybe we can take that as a bit of a clue. We think that it is the most regulatory compliant exchange out there, and we've been very pleased with how its derivatives exchange in Bermuda has ramped in here. It's very early days, but again, clearly a trusted partner. And we are also seeing that there's more turmoil out there, I guess. Hubei, I think that's how you say the name of the exchange, and Tether and Finance, there are rumblings out there that not is all well. And so Coinbase, it is going to be the flight to safety exchange, no doubt about it. What I find so interesting still, and this is why we believe that the SEC will lose the grayscale case, how can you approve a Bitcoin futures ETF and not a Bitcoin ETF? And in fact, if you're really thinking about consumer protection, a futures ETF is swap space. So there's counterparty risk there that you would not have with a Bitcoin ETF, which is backed one-to-one with Bitcoin in Coinbase's cold storage. It still confounds me.
And not to mention the point that Eric makes, which is that if there had been an ETF, a lot of people wouldn't have bought Bitcoin at FTX. That would use that vehicle.
When the news broke more than a week ago, many people just thought it was a fraud. But our chief futurist, Brett Winton, said, wait a minute, this is not a fraud. It can't be a fraud because it's so simple. You can buy phosphorus, copper, and you can actually follow their instructions and duplicate this. We're going to find out pretty quickly. And what it does seem is that it is possible. So we went from thinking Friday a week ago, maybe 10-15% chance, to now, while the betting markets are at 40%, I think we are more in the 60% plus range. So, and it could be the breakthrough we need for quantum computing, or at least bringing it into reality from a commercialization point of view sooner than expected, or the high-speed trains. It could change so many things, and particularly our electric system, where, we lose so much heat, and data centers where we lose so much energy because of the inefficiencies associated with current electricity.
Elon Musk and Zuckerberg may have a cage match fight. Do you take a side in that fight? Do you think Musk is up to the task?
Whenever he puts his mind to something, I wouldn't bet against him. That's what I'll say. But I did read this morning that he's saying that, or tweeting that he has to probably go for a back operation first for something having to do with his discs. So I would hope that he would wait until he's completely on the mend.
So there's Cathie on why this week could be a watershed moment for Bitcoin and the wider crypto market if the ARK Invest Bitcoin ETF is approved. However, I wouldn't get too excited. ARK Invest has been pushed back before by the SEC, and I'd wager that this time won't be any different. They aren't part of the in-crowd like BlackRock or Fidelity. In fact, I'd put it at a 95% chance that the SEC delays their decision date, but there is a chance. Regardless, even if it does get delayed, that's just more time to stack sats. The BlackRock decision date will be here in no time at all. The date to look out for, March 2024, conveniently 1 month before the halving. Also guys, I have just launched a daily 5-minute crypto newsletter. I was so sick of seeing people charge hundreds to thousands of dollars per month for on-chain crypto data and breakdowns. So to give out as much value to you as possible, I am sending out a 5-minute daily newsletter which will cover expert predictions, breakdowns of on-chain crypto data, and any breaking news that you need to know, all in a nutshell. And my promise to you is it will be completely free forever. Click the first link in my description, enter your email to join over 5,000 others in becoming a better crypto investor right now. If you don't like it, I will personally send you $1 whole, so you literally have nothing to lose. Anyway guys, hope you all enjoyed today's video and that provided you with some value. I'll see you all in the next one, and as always, all the best.